It's the Blurring Out with Eric Blair show at the Key Club in Hollywood for the Vans Warped Tour kickoff party. And I'm here with the man, the myth, the legend, Kevin Lyman.
Yeah, the legend. You can see me sweeping my leaves tomorrow morning in front of my house.
Hey, well, that's a luxury.
That is absolutely. I'm looking forward to it. I mean, it feels like summertime in Southern California. It finally got hot, and we're having a good time.
I mean, in essence, you are living the dream. You really are. I mean, you through hard work and perseverance, you have created an empire for yourself, which has lived on now.
Yeah, I mean, you know, that's the whole thing. It's like a dream of hard work. It's not like I won the lottery, but it's like every day I go, yeah, I work my ass off, and I'm up, you know. I guess my dream is working 14 hours a day, but I don't think it's ever going to change. And that's an argument. You know, my wife's like, when are you going to slow down? When are you going to slow down? I'm going, I don't know if I was ever meant to slow down.
How many kids do you have now?
I have 2 children, awesome girls, Sierra and Sabrine. Sierra was born the year the Warped Tour started, and it's kind of rad because she was out at Taste of Chaos last night.
Wow.
And she was hanging out with cousins and friends, and she was running around hanging out with the J-Rock bands. She came down to see all the J-Rock bands I brought over from Japan, and I mean, it's kind of exciting. I think it's weird, though. You look at her and go, wow, you've been here as long as this tour.
And how has this lifestyle affected your family? Has it been a positive thing, or is there any kind of cons to it?
There's cons. You're on the road. You're traveling. You're torn. You're trying to teach the grounding of what, I don't know. But you know what? It's ultimately the one thing I can say is you started out because you love something. And I still get to do it 25 years. There's so many people I know, and a lot of my friends come out on the road with me that I went to school. They're not happy with their jobs. They're like, I'm still pretty happy. You know, I still got to deal with crap.
Yeah.
I got to deal with lawyers. I got to deal with agents, accountants all day long. But you know what? Ultimately, I get to see that show. Kind of that instant gratification thing, you know, to get to see that show in a couple months, and I'm stoked.
How do you not get tired of the same old thing over and over again?
Well, that's the thing. I don't get tired of the same old thing. My thing is I turn my music in a weird way. So many of my peers are Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
Listening to The Clash. I love checking that stuff out, but how many, like, 47-year-old, I just turned 47 2 days ago. Like, I'm jamming We the Kings in my car. People are like, what the fuck's this band? I'm like, dude, this is the new band you should be. I'm listening to new Anti-Flag in my car today.
Nice.
And, you know, so I've just kind of turned into this process of turning music around in my head. But I also love it that I walked into a room 2 weeks ago, and my daughter was listening to a band, and I go, that's We the Kings. And she goes, they're the best new band ever. And I go, yes, October. I got their CD. I put them on the Warped Tour. She's the person that's going to the Warped Tour. Her kids are going to back it.
Every decade, there's a new wave of music that takes over and captures the imagination. I mean, the old bands that are stalwarts stay in the picture.
Absolutely. I think now it's crazy because I think there's so much interest in bands like Rancid and Pennywise and those Bouncing Souls. But I think right now, we went through that whole emo, screamo, where it was like this, we're now very scattered. Kids listen to music all over the place. They're finding music. They're finding a band here. Kids are, I mean, I brought these bands from Japan, and I keep talking about J-Rock, but I was just in Japan last week with X-Japan, the craziest Japanese show I've ever seen. And I'm going to start bringing these bands from Japan to play. And last night at Taste of Chaos, there was kids standing in line for 2.5 hours to get an autograph from a band that half the people didn't know who they were.
How many years has it been? 15?
14 years on the Warped Tour. I think I'm trying to lose track, but I think I've been working since I started working in the scene about 27 years.
Now, how many thank yous have you gotten over the years for helping boost people's careers, and what have been some of the highlights?
You get as many thank yous as FUs. It's that balance. If you can keep the scale of the thank yous up and the FUs down, you're doing all right. You get you know what, it's nice now, a lot of people that have like gone on to do whatever they do, and maybe they're doing something else, and they're not maybe in the music business, but they were part of what we did. They come up and say, you know what, my most fun was that summer I spent with you, or that doing that was kind of what made the music business fun. And ultimately, we turned it into business, but we did I think every person picked up a guitar or a drumstick or wanted to sing for fun. And I think the Warped Tour brings fun back into things.
Now, you also oversee Taste of Chaos, and also
Mayhem now.
Mayhem. Now, tell me about that, and tell me how you spread out your time between these tours.
Well, everyone asks me, like, what are you going to do this summer? Like, you got this summer tour. I go, my heart and soul is in Warped Tour. I'm going to be there every day. I have a partner now in John Reese. He's going to go on Mayhem. Trying to use the fundamentals of marketing and sound to maybe help the metal community pull together.
Nice.
You had bands like Slipknot, Disturbed willing to maybe take a little step back to try to pull a second stages and to see Airborne and Red Chord and Black Tide.
Nice.
These young bands, because no one's ever cared about a second stage on some of those other metal festivals. It's always how much you pay to get on the show.
Yeah.
I said, we're not paying, no, we will not take a buy-on. And we were offered six-figure money to get people on that show, and I said, no. I want to break a band. If we don't break a band off that second stage, and it's pretty awesome for me that people are talking about those bands now, and they're excited to see them as part of this festival. And to have Slipknot and Disturbed kind of like, let's make this work. If maybe they'll have their own tour, and we'll have the Warped Tour, and you know, it'll be another way to, like, people can survive in this business.
Every year we have Kevin Lyman's picks of like who we think is hot. Now you're talking about the Bronx. The Bronx are going to be touring on the Warped Tour.
Absolutely.
What do you love about the Bronx?
The Bronx are an amazing live band, and you know what? They've just never played the Warped. They've never been on the whole Warped Tour because it was a mix-up. They weren't submitted. It was more of like a technical error.
Yeah.
And you know what? I think people are going to be blown away. You know, the Bronx are fucking awesome.
They are.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I think when it's going to spread, like kids are going to go, I saw this band, the Bronx. And there's going to be kids walking around, internet. And you know what? They've been around a long time, but they've never really gotten to play, I think, for a big crowd like that. And people are, the coolest thing about the Bronx is all the bands are stoked to have the Bronx on the tour.
Yeah.
They're all going, I can't wait to see the Bronx.
What brings Kevin Lyman the most peace in his life right now?
Dropping my kids off at school. Being able to give them a chance to have a good education. I mean, it's kind of sappy, but you know what? But it's also like the piece that, you know what, they understand that I have to go out on the road for 2 months this summer, and they've kind of adapted. Their mom's awesome, and everyone kind of figures out how to make this work because it's going to be weird when this is taken out of my life. People retire from a job, and they don't know. It's going to be a weird summer, the death summer. I don't get to go hang out and see so many people I see once a year that I'm so excited every day to, like, oh man, I see you once a year. It's what it's about.
That frightens me that you said that. That you're going to have to step away from it one day because I would be frightened myself. I would have a panic attack.
Yeah. We'll see how that goes. Hopefully I'll replace it with fishing.
God bless you. You are a loved man.
Thank you very much.
Blaring Out with Eric Blair Show with Kevin Lyman. Signing off.